Most people think cats are just fluffy, aloof companions who occasionally knock things off shelves. But what if that's the surface of something much deeper? Hidden inside their everyday habits are life lessons that challenge what we've been told about success, happiness, and even relationships. Cats don't hustle for approval, they don't live on autopilot, and they certainly don't apologize for taking up space. And yet, somehow, they thrive. Sounds counterintuitive, right? In a culture obsessed with grinding harder, planning further ahead, and being on all the time, cats show us a paradox. Doing less can actually make you stronger, more focused, and more magnetic. They embody traits like independence, mindfulness, and resilience that most self-help books try to teach, but in a way that feels effortless and natural. What's more, you don't need 9 lives to start applying these insights. In fact, you can experiment with small, concrete actions today, like how you start your morning, how you handle setbacks, or how you protect your time and notice immediate shifts. That's why this isn't just another cute animals video. It's a practical guide disguised as a warm, fuzzy story. If you've ever caught yourself wondering how to slow down without losing your edge, how to feel more grounded without withdrawing from the world, or how to bounce back when life feels like it's clawing at you, then this will surprise you. These lessons from our feline friends may just change the way you see your day, your goals, and even yourself. There's something fascinating about the way a cat walks into a room. It doesn't ask for permission or try to fill silence with noise. It simply exists there, owning its space. That quiet confidence is a powerful reminder for anyone who's constantly pulled by demands and notifications. It's as if the cat is saying, with its calm gaze, you can own your moment too. So often we confuse being alone with feeling lonely, but it's actually in that personal space where creativity and clarity are born. It's like when you decide to take a walk without headphones, and suddenly your best ideas for solving an old problem show up. Cats show us that cultivating this inner space isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Cat can spend hours perched by a window, just watching the street without seeming restless. That simple image carries a deep lesson, learning to be okay with yourself. In practice, this might mean setting aside 15 minutes a day to write in a journal without interruptions, or switching off notifications while doing something you love. I once knew an entrepreneur who, inspired by his cat's habits, created a morning no-contact ritual for 30 minutes, no emails, no social media, just him and a strong cup of coffee. The result? Clearer decisions and less anxiety. The message here is clear. The stronger you build yourself inside, the less you depend on outside validation. This feline independence doesn't mean coldness or isolation. On the contrary, it means knowing when to be with others and when to be with yourself. A cat chooses when it wants affection, and when it does, it gives itself fully. That subtle balance is something many people lose. They either close themselves off or give too much without boundaries. If you feel you're on autopilot, try a simple test. Schedule a date with yourself the way you would with an important friend. It could be going alone to a cafe, watching a movie solo, or even taking a short one-day trip. This kind of practice, which looks so simple, is one of the most powerful ways to build self-confidence. Another curious detail. Even in unfamiliar environments, a cat never loses its composure. It sniffs, it explores, but it keeps an invisible territory around itself. That's pure mastery of healthy boundaries. How many times have you caught yourself saying yes to everything out of fear of disappointing someone? A practical exercise is to start saying no to small things without over-explaining. It strengthens your sense of self. As that habit grows, bigger situations become easier to handle. Funny how this posture, so natural for a cat, can teach us to move through life with more presence. And speaking of presence, there's another feline lesson that often goes unnoticed and can completely transform how we experience everyday life. Cats have a way of melting into the moment, don't they? 1 second, they're chasing a speck of dust like it's the most thrilling thing in the world. The next, they're sprawled out in a sunbeam, eyes half closed, breathing slow and deep. They're not worrying about tomorrow's meal or replaying yesterday's mishap. That kind of total presence can feel almost alien to people who live on fast schedules and endless to-do lists. But it's also a gentle invitation. You too can pause and actually taste the coffee you're drinking. Notice the weight of your feet on the ground, or really listen to the song that's playing instead of just letting it fill the silence. Watching a cat in that state is like seeing mindfulness in motion. They're proof that attention is a muscle you can train, not a rare gift. If you're curious where to start, try setting a small ritual. 5 minutes of sitting quietly before opening your phone in the morning, or a mindful walk where you notice every smell, sound, and texture like a cat does when exploring a new yard. A friend of mine started sketching his breakfast each day, not because he's an artist, but because it slowed him down enough to actually enjoy it. Within weeks, his stress levels dropped. That's the power of presence when it becomes a practice. And here's the beautiful irony. Being in the moment doesn't make you less productive. It often makes you sharper. Cats, for example, can go from complete stillness to explosive action in a heartbeat because they're not scattered. People who cultivate the same habit find they make decisions faster and handle surprises better. Think about trying box breathing before a big meeting, or even pausing for 3 slow breaths before answering a tough email. It's like giving your brain a fresh canvas instead of scribbling on an already messy one. What's even more striking is how this mindset helps you bounce back from setbacks. A cat doesn't sit around brooding if it misses a jump. It lands, flicks its tail, and tries again as if nothing happened. That natural reset button comes from not clinging to the past or fearing the future. Practicing mindfulness in small doses trains you to do the same. And that's where the next lesson shows up, how these quiet masters of the present also handle change and challenge with a kind of resilience that feels almost magical. Cats are masters at rolling with the punches. One day they're in a cozy apartment. The next they're exploring a new room like tiny adventurers, tail high, sniffing corners, testing perches. They don't wait for conditions to be perfect before moving forward. That kind of flexibility is rare in a world where many of us feel paralyzed if things don't go exactly as planned. Yet, watching a cat adjust so effortlessly is like getting a free masterclass on how to pivot without losing your cool. It's not about pretending everything's fine, it's about learning to stretch, land softly, and keep going. Think of how a cat reacts when its favorite spot is taken. It doesn't throw a tantrum. It simply finds another sunny patch. People who build that same adaptability find their stress melting away. Start small, change the route you walk to work, cook a dish you've never tried, or switch your usual gym routine for a new class. These tiny shifts train your nervous system to feel safe with novelty. I once coached someone who dreaded public speaking until he began intentionally seeking small discomforts. Ordering coffee in a new language, taking cold showers. Within months, his confidence skyrocketed, not because the fear disappeared, but because he became resilient enough to face it. Resilience also shows in how cats handle failure. They'll misjudge a jump, slip off a ledge, then spring back up as if nothing happened, maybe with a comical shake of the paw. That's a living reminder that mistakes aren't verdicts. They're feedback. If you've been hesitating to launch a project, apply for a job, or start a new hobby because you're scared to fall, think of that paw shake. A practical way to embody it: keep a failure journal where you note what went wrong, what you learned, and one action you'll try next. It reframes the whole idea of falling short into something playful, almost like a game. What makes all this so powerful is how these small acts of adaptability add up. Over time, you don't just recover from setbacks faster, You start anticipating change like a cat senses a shift in the wind. You become lighter on your feet, more curious than anxious, and strangely energized by challenges instead of drained. And when you combine that resilience with the independence and presence we've already explored, you begin to see how these quiet creatures are teaching us far more than we might guess at first glance. If you've been nodding along, feeling those light bulb moments flicker as you watched, don't let them fade. Knowledge is only power when it's acted upon. Which of these lessons hit you hardest? The quiet independence, the presence in the moment, or the soft but steady resilience? Imagine how your day could shift if you practiced even one of them this week. Would you be calmer, more decisive, a little braver when life pushes back? The truth is, you don't need a dramatic life overhaul to feel the difference. Small, intentional steps, like saying no once today, pausing for 3 deep breaths before a tough call, or reframing a mistake as feedback, can add up faster than you think. Cats don't change overnight. They practice, explore, and adjust. So can you? Now, here's a little challenge. Which lesson will you test first? Drop it in the comments, not just to share, but to make a promise to yourself. Sometimes writing it down publicly is the first step to actually doing it. And if you've already tried one of these shifts, tell us what changed. Your story might be exactly the nudge someone else needs. If you want to keep diving into these kinds of insights, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That way you'll always have a fresh perspective waiting for you, just like a cat waiting by the window for the next sunbeam.